So the other day, a friend of mine and I were having this debate. The debate was actually simple yet kind of complex. I was under the impression, and my argument was that an NFL coach, a successful, great NFL coach, could translate that ability into any business. In other words, a great NFL coach could be an amazingly successful entrepreneur. And my friend didn't know what it was I was talking about and couldn't understand the philosophy of that. So I had to break it down for him. And in doing so, I really came up with something I thought was some really, really great points that I'd like to share with you guys today. Now, before we go any further, I just want to remind everybody that we are brand new to YouTube. We are working on building our algorithm up. We've only got about 28, 30 videos up so far. You have to get to 35 or 40 in order for the algorithm to start to kick in. So what I need from you guys is just to reach down and just kind of touch that like button for me one time. Touch the like button. If you enjoy what we're talking about, if you want to join the conversation, please make a comment below. Doing those things really helps us out along the way. Now, let's get back to the topic, which is what makes a great NFL coach, or what abilities and things does a great NFL coach have that could translate itself into being an entrepreneur? Well, for those of you that are sports fans out there, this analogy may actually help you make that leap to be an entrepreneur. Now, before we go any further, I do just want to say to you that for a long time, if you don't know who I am, I was an entrepreneur, and I still am. I still own my own business. I actually own two. But for a long time, I was my own boss. I made my own products. I had my own businesses. I created my own services. I did my own marketing. I did everything. I was highly successful. I'm proud to say that I have owned several multi-million-dollar companies. I currently don't do any of that. What I do now is not important. We'll talk about it later, but because it is prevalent to this podcast. But let's talk about what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about what makes a great NFL coach a great the abilities of a great NFL coach to translate that to be a great entrepreneur. Now, first of all, I mean, the obvious, let's just state the obvious before we go any further. You have to be a great leader. Now, in order to be an entrepreneur, eventually at some point, you're going to have a staff of people. Now, in the beginning, some businesses require just you. And eventually you're going to have to hire somebody, and you're going to have to lead those people by example and by your words and your actions. So you're going to tell them what to do. You're going to show them what to do. And then you're going to be required to follow up and make sure that they actually do what you've asked them to do, just like a coach does. So number one, that I would say the most important thing is to be able to be a leader, and not everybody can be a leader. So before you dive in and try to be an entrepreneur, you should test your ability to lead other adults, because eventually you're going to have to do that. It's not the same as if you have kids. I have some friends that are just amazing parents and just aren't very good leaders of adults. And that is not the same thing. Leading a child and leading an adult human are totally different. So I would say that you should make sure that you're a good leader before you go any further. Now, there are some other things that NFL coaches do that I think actually translate to any business. And first of all, on this list, it's all about having a philosophy. So you have to have a great philosophy. If you're an NFL fan, you know about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's philosophy is we're going to be flexible as a team. We're going to be able to adapt to what the other team does poorly, and we're going to make ourselves be able to do that great week to week. And we're also going to focus on having a stout defense that is, again, flexible and able to move around to work with the team that we're playing against. All Bill Belichick teams are the same that way. With Tom Brady, without Tom Brady, they will continue to be the same. Andy Reid's going to throw the ball 62.6% of the time. That's his philosophy. His philosophy is we're going to move the ball with short, little dump-off passes, quick little hitters across the middle. The pass game is the run game, and then the run game can become the pass game because you open up everything for longer runs. That's the philosophy of Andy Reid. Playbook, again, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, no matter who they hire as their coordinators, they don't bring in a new offense. They don't bring in a new defense. That doesn't happen over and over again. I'm a Steeler fan. Mike Tomlin is a good coach, not a great coach for this reason. Mike Tomlin has allowed people to bring in offensive and defensive philosophies from outside of his system into his system and try to make those things work, and that is why he is a mediocre coach. He's not mediocre, he's above average, but he's not great. Greatness comes from the fact that you're able to develop a philosophy and stick to it. You're able to develop a playbook and stick to it. And the last thing is the ability to be able to teach and elevate those important positions that are around you. You cannot do everything yourself. And it's the biggest mistake of every entrepreneur. It's the biggest mistake of every NFL coach who fails, It works very simple. You need a good team of people around you. If you're a football coach, you have to have a good offensive coordinator, a good defensive coordinator, a good special teams coordinator, and then all those people who fall underneath, linebacker coaches, quarterback coaches, running back coaches, they all need to do their part. Everybody, and they all need to have the same thing that you do because you've taught it to them. They need to have the same philosophy. They need to follow the playbook, and they need to have the ability to teach and elevate those people in important positions. So your offensive coordinator has to be able to make his quarterbacks coach, his running backs coach, his wide receivers coach, and all the players better. Each wide receiver coach needs to make every wide receiver better. You need to be able to teach and elevate those in important positions. Then, the very last thing that is not on here that has to be on here, and is probably the most important thing for an entrepreneur and especially for an NFL coach, you need to have accountability. You can have a philosophy, you can have a playbook, you can have the ability to teach and elevate those people to important positions, but if you don't go back and check, double check, triple check, check daily, and go back and make sure that the things that you have put in place stay in place and are not altered to the point where they are no longer your philosophy, your playbook, and your ability to teach and elevate, then you are going to fail. So be a leader, have a philosophy, have a playbook, develop an ability to teach and elevate those people around you that are in important positions. And the very last thing is teach yourself and everybody around you to be accountable, just like an NFL coach. And you could start any business in the world and be successful at it. Now, I deal with the business of sports and I make money from it. I love sports. I love talking about sports. I love business. I love talking about business. Doing this podcast is actually a dream for me because I'm able to combine all of these things together. I hope that you appreciate what it is we're doing. You click the like button. Maybe you subscribe to see more sports and cool content like this. And I will see you next time.